With all the recent emphasis on business process automation, there seems to be some confusion about the term workflow and what it means. A workflow is simply a predefined sequence of steps that achieve a useful business function, and it usually involves multiple people working together, with each person doing a different step, and for this reason it is sometimes called a collaborative workflow. You may occasionally hear the word process used instead of workflow, and while they are not exactly the same, in the field of business process automation the two terms are usually interchangeable. Now, to help us understand what a workflow is and what it means to automate a business process, we're going to work through a simple example, and to make things more interesting, we're going to take our scenario from ancient Rome to the sandal shop of Marcus Flavius. Some customers browse and purchase from the existing stock, but many place custom orders, which leads to a lot of work for his team of skilled artisans. However, organizing all those custom orders is not easy, and after a series of embarrassing mistakes, Marcus decided that he needed a well-defined process to ensure that orders are filled promptly and correctly. In other words, he needed a workflow. So he broke his process down into 4 basic steps: fill out the request, get the materials, make the sandals, check quality. He then drew this up as a flowchart, which is the standard way of visualizing a workflow process. He does step 1 himself. Here he writes up the order onto a wax tablet, which includes all of the details needed to make the sandals. The workflow then advances to step 2, which is done by the parts manager. This person has to make sure all the leather clasps and other materials are available. If not, the parts manager has to go out and obtain them. Then it moves to step 3, where a skilled artisan actually makes the sandals. And finally, step 4, the quality control step, which is also done by Marcus. After using this workflow for a few weeks, Marcus realized that something was missing. There was no way to handle errors or other types of problems. So he revised the workflow to account for the types of problems that often occurred. This is important because a workflow has to be able to accommodate errors and unexpected events. For example, on step 2, if the materials are not available and cannot be obtained in time, then the workflow moves back to step 1, where Marcus would work with the customer to revise the order, and if a solution cannot be found, then the order is canceled. Something similar happens on step 4. If the sandals fail the quality check, they are sent back to the artisan to be fixed. After using the revised workflow for a few weeks, Marcus realized that there was still something missing. A way to let each workflow participant know that there was new work waiting for them. So he revised the workflow again, this time by making an assistant responsible for notifying each workflow participant when there was work ready for them. This led to the final version of the workflow, which includes notify actions that occur as the workflow moves from one step to the next. At this point, there is no functional difference between this workflow and a modern workflow, such as this one created in iPhora Automate. And that brings us to the key point I want to make. If you can visualize your process as a series of tasks, then you can build it into a workflow. And as for Marcus Flavius, thanks to the new workflow, productivity was increased and errors were reduced. The sandal shop did very well, and soon Marcus had to hire even more artisans. And if you would like to know more about business process automation and iPhora solutions, just visit iPhora.io.